Despite dying in the very opening act, the comedian's legacy is one deeply entangled with Watchmen's best mystery. As a result, by that story's end, the comedian has been so thoroughly examined that one might wonder what questions remain to be answered about his character. Surely there is nothing more to say about the comedian. Seemingly determined to prove that point, here comes Brian Azzarello and J.G. Jones with the 6-part tie-in that somehow never seems to end. One famous fan theory about the comedian, based upon an offhand comment in Watchmen, is that he was personally responsible for the assassination of US President John F. Kennedy. Zack Snyder liked this idea so much that he actually inserted it into the credits of his Watchmen movie. So let's see how long Brian Azzarello can go without mentioning it. Page 3. But there's a twist. Issue 1 ends indeed with JFK's assassination, but not at the hands of the comedian. Certainly not the curveball I expected. With an opening act like that, one would think that the tie-in had situated itself for a tale of political intrigue and espionage. One would be wrong. Naturally, the story spends the following 4 issues in Vietnam as Eddie Blake tortures the locals, grapples with authority, plays pool, and little else. JFK's assassination seemingly forgotten. Exactly why we're being shown this, and in such explicit detail, or what this has to do with the opening chapter, to me remains a complete mystery, even 2 months after I finished reading it. Seriously, there are 4 issues in this tie-in which don't serve a purpose. I don't know why they were printed. The story eventually degrades into a fairly sparse tour of significant historical moments for which the comedian is coincidentally present, a writing strategy that has never been a good basis for a story, but does serve as a reliable indicator that the story you're reading has no idea what it is doing. Inevitably, this approach just comes across as pandering. And the book's ultimate revelation is completely inconsequential, and nowhere near as cool as it supposes. After spending most of the series bandying about in the jungle, Azzarello hands in a finale overstuffed with disconnected plot. I'm not ashamed to admit I had to read up on American history in order to fully understand exactly what had happened, because the book has no interest in offering a cogent plotline. Even Azzarello's depiction of the comedian is questionable, being one which tries to convince us that he was a tortured and deeply misunderstood individual. Unfortunately, this referendum on the nature of the man is simply a contradiction of the character that appeared in Watchmen. For any of Eddie Blake's redeeming features, he remained a sadist and quite a gleeful killer, only wincing at the indiscriminate massacre that occupied the first 6 pages of Watchmen's final issue. By comparison with Azzarello's heavy-handed approach, Darwin Cook's Silk Spectre managed to do more for Eddie Blake than this book does without even appearing to try. J.G. Jones's art is attractively drawn and coloured, but stylistically it fails to press a united design thesis. Colour use is incredibly varied, but not to any particular ends, likely a fault that rests with Azzarello's lack of clear direction for the story. But the real clincher is the bizarre shapes that occasionally take the place of panels. Incongruous and asymmetrical, these pages are ugly to look at and serve no functional purpose. But perhaps the book is best summed up by one interaction between Blake, Night Owl, and Rorschach, in which the comedian makes clear that he has no interest in the Watchmen whatever. And fittingly, the comedian's tie-in has no interest in Watchmen either. This book is antithetical to Moore's original story. At 6 issues long, Azzarello had half the page space of the entire original saga, and managed to weave approximately 1/1,000,000th as much of a tale. A simultaneously bloated, hapless, and empty story that has more in common with environmental pollution than an Alan Moore novel. But remarkably, Before Watchmen's very worst is still yet to come.